Back to this developing story in Greece now. Tens of thousands of people there joining a nationwide strike that has ground that country pretty much to a halt. Flights are stopped, trains suspended, ferries not running. The capital of Athens absolutely paralyzed. Protesters are storming the parliament building, throwing Molotov cocktails, police fighting back with tear gas. Greg Burke is in Rome following this story. Sounds like a terrible, terrible situation, Greg.
John, that's right. Lots of tear gas, lots of fires, and now 3 people dead, apparently asphyxiated after an attack on a bank. So it was a really very violent day in Athens today as the protesters armed with rocks and Molotov cocktails went at it with police. This all taking place in the course of a 24-hour strike. Protests are quite frequent in Greece, but normally not this big and normally not quite as violent as this. However, the country is on the verge of bankruptcy. What they're protesting is government austerity measures, which would be cuts in salaries and state salaries, cuts in pensions, and also increasing taxes on some items. So it's really a double whammy. And it's not just the left fringe, which is out there today protesting, but also a lot of normal workers, although it's clear that some really did come with very violent intentions. Now, John, Germany is going to play a key role in the bailout. There's a proposed bailout right now for Greece, a huge loan, nearly $150 billion. Germany will be taking a big part of that. The Chancellor Angela Merkel says it's nothing less than the future of Europe, which is at stake right now, that Greece cannot fail. And finally, John, could it spread? That is really the question here. It already is to a certain degree with jittery markets in Portugal and Spain. Also, the euro, the common currency, it's down to its lowest rate in nearly a year, so it could be a good time for Americans to visit Europe, but they might want to avoid Greece. John?
Greg Burke reporting live from Rome. Thanks, Greg.
Now we want to look at the markets and how all this turmoil in Greece and the uncertainty over its ability really to pay its debts is affecting the rest of the world, including us. Take a look at the Dow, just about even or so, up about 2 points. Jenna, what's going on? It's been up and down all week.
You're absolutely right, and that's amazing because we were down about 1% before the markets even got open today, after one of the worst days we've seen in the markets in about 2 months. And the concerns that Greg was just mentioning, the jitters about other countries being like Greece, defaulting on their debt, is absolutely appropriate here. When we see that the dollar gets stronger versus the euro, we see oil prices drop, and you think to yourself, hey, that might not be a bad thing. That means gas prices are going to be lower during the summer. But what that really is saying is that investors are concerned about the economic recovery worldwide. So they're bringing down the price of oil. They're saying we're not sure that the companies are going to need this energy to keep going. And that's part of the reason we're seeing oil prices lower. The markets are flat. But again, investors are really concentrating on companies here being the driver of this economy and the markets. And guys, real quick, you know, Greece's debt is 125% of its gross domestic product. That's, you know, the total amount of output. And it's a small country, 11 million people, just a little bit bigger than New York. But for the U.S., we're projected to have our debt be 94% of GDP moving into this year. So there's a connection here, and that's why people are looking at Greece as an example of what could happen.
Doesn't sound good.